This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Though Celaena continues to monitor Archer and the rebels, very little about the activities interests her, except whether or not they leave Rifthold. Dorian is surprised to find Celaena accept his invitation to dinner. And Celaena is honest that she has nowhere to go. When Celaena approaches Baba Yellowlegs for answers to the tomb's riddle, Celaena learns more than she's bargained for and has to fight her way out of the witch's caravan. Dorian and Chaol disagree about Celaena, and when Chaol snoops around Celaena's room, he uncovers an unbearable truth. With nothing else to do, Celaena goes searching in the depths of the library and uncovers secret doorways that should have been left undisturbed.
Hi there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously.
This is Jack.
And I'm Amy.
And we embrace and respect modern fantasy, romance, and romantasy books written by women. And so it is in our nature to analyze these books as we would any other novel we might have discussed in school.
With our combined 13 years of literary academic training, we use our education to analyze and give voice to reasons you may love or hate today's popular books.
This week, we're discussing chapters 39 through 43 of Sarah J. Maas's second Throne of Glass novel, Crown of Midnight. For a complete list of episodes and the chapter breakdowns, be sure to check out our Instagram at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk.
Before we dive in, let's talk about Spilt. Spoilers, perspective and interpretation, language, and themes.
Spoilers. While our discussion is about Crown of Midnight, important context from the first 3 novels in this series will be discussed without spoiler warnings. That is specific to Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. This is not a read-along for anyone who hasn't read at least these 3 books, and you will be spoiled from here on out. So please take this as your only spoiler warning. For all other book spoilers beyond Heir of Fire and other SJM works, we will keep those in the breadcrumbs and broomstick section area at the end of the episode, especially this episode.
Perspective and interpretation. What we discuss in this episode are strictly our personal interpretation of the text. We do not speak for Sarah J. Maas and in no way know her intentions for her books or characters. We also know our listeners have their own personal views and opinions, and we encourage you to share your thoughts with us because every perspective and interpretation is worth exploring.
Even though we try to sound smart and not curse, at the end of the day, we are not smart and will curse.
I was going to say we sound smart and we curse.
That's the one. Language does occur. You've been warned. Explicit language does occur.
Themes. We also discuss some heavy subjects throughout the podcast that can include themes of sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death. While we will do our best to give trigger warnings for the darker themes, we will discuss these topics when they are important to the text. Listener discretion is advised.
As always, we love keeping the conversation going because our listeners are so good at finding things we've overlooked or missed completely. You can share your interpretation of the text with us by posting on social media, tagging us in stories, sending us DMs, or submitting to the form on our website. We also post more exclusive content and host live streams for our Patreon supporters. You can find us at patreon.com/booktalkforbooktalk. The question that we ask ourselves this week is, has Celaena ever had a choice when it comes to destiny and the path it wants her to take?
Themes we see in this section include Destiny's Path and disillusionment.
Celaena is doing some light stalking, as we all do, of Archer and his people, accomplices, everyone that's surrounding Archer. And it speaks volumes to her headspace, which I feel like is something that we've been saying this entire book, but that is how characters work. They have headspaces. Quote, but Nehemia had been part of this group, and even if Nehemia had pretended she didn't know anything about these people, they were still her people. I love that, one, she doesn't fully trust them because she can't fully trust Nehemia, but she's also like, well, my bestie loved you or trusted you, so I'm not going to kill you right away. I do find it striking, the part that she calls the rebels Nehemia's people, especially when they're trying to rally behind Aelin, and they would be her soldiers.
Yeah, I love that point because I think it still tells us, we're still dealing with Celaena. Celaena has not chosen Aelin the way Nehemia and the rebels have chosen Aelin, so she doesn't feel ownership.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Absolutely.
Like Jack said, there's a lot about Celaena's headspace in this episode, and to SJM's credit, we are seeing a lot of change, and rightly so. Celaena is going through the motions right now because she is still grieving. Quote, and honestly, there was a part of her that wondered whether she should just kill them all and toss their heads at the king's feet. Now, it is a nice little bit of foreshadowing for what happens to Archer, but we're also reminded about the darker side of Celaena and her mindset, especially what we saw in last week's episode. She's still in mourning. She's wrestling with morality right now as she's going through the stages of grief because, honestly, doing the immoral thing, killing them all, is way easier than, putting up with people's shit.
Yeah. And she's choosing the non-easy route.
Good for her.
Good for her. More people need to do that and not kill.
Yeah.
We get some more foreshadowing, especially with certain characters that we're going to see in future books. Quote, she recognized the guard who stood between her and Chaol at the warehouse, the man who had been so eager for a fight.
Only because I recently reread Heir of Fire.
Yeah.
So a lot of the rebel activity that is being set up right now is setting up for Heir of Fire, is setting up for the interactions Chaol and Adian are going to have. Celaena pays very specific attention to this one guy with the twin blades on his back and describes how his black hair is shoulder length. Like, we don't need these details. Except we do because he's coming back later. It's also important because he is a noble from Terrasen. Again, we're going to find out more about that in Heir of Fire. And we're going to learn this guy is really motivated to look for Aelin.
Do you remember his name?
Lord Alsbrook.
Good job. I like how you're kind of power posing while you say it. Like hands on your hips.
This is me trying to remember his first name.
It's funny. A lot of people do this. You'll do this in other people. And you're telling, like, someone will tell a story. So many people do this. And they'll say, like, their name was Jessica something. And I want to be like, it doesn't matter. I don't need to know their last name.
You're the person who asked me if I remembered his name.
Yeah, no. This time it counts, but it just reminded me of something. And I just want the listener, if they ever catch themselves doing it, I guarantee whoever's listening doesn't need to know the last name.
Does not care. It doesn't help the story at all.
I know.
Unless they're a reoccurring character in your plot.
Yeah. Of life.
Yeah.
Celaena is living in this moment, right? She doesn't quite have a game plan for literally anything. Quote, and once he was gone, once she'd given the king his fake corpse, she didn't know what she'd do then. So at this point, she's thinking about Archer and is trying to think, like, do I kill him? Do I not? I don't know what I do. What even happens afterwards? And mentally, she is living in the moment. And that's because she's resisting, we're like looking ahead, even the slightest amount. Like, she's only got days to bring in Archer's body. And she's just kind of like, oh, whatever, we'll figure it out as I go. I do that all the time when I'm like super stressed. It's like, I'm not thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah, I can barely think about the next 5 minutes,
Right.
let alone
I mean, and
tomorrow.
that's just Archer. She still has Elena's orders that she hasn't followed. She has the king's orders that she hasn't followed. She's just trying to stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
Celaena sees Archer and the mysterious man as they part ways. And I love it because we're getting more of Archer's mask slowly coming apart. And these are just little things that SJM does to prepare the reader to be like, actually, Archer's shit.
Mm.
Quote, the young man paused at the bottom of the steps, turning to give Archer a particularly vulgar gesture. Even from this distance, Celaena could see the smile that Archer gave the man. There was nothing kind in it. So we're getting more about Archer, right? He said something that pissed this other guy off so much, and Archer chooses to smile and be a dick about things. And, like the charm is gone from him.
And honestly, is that not Celaena right now?
Yeah.
There's that ruthlessness under the facade, the charming facade, because they're both desperate to get away from their current situations in their lives. And we've talked about that before, where Celaena and Archer are mirrors of each other. And quite frankly, I might argue that Celena's desire to kill Archer and be done with it is a reflection of her own feelings toward herself. So her kind of pacificity right now towards Archer is how she feels about herself and her life too.
I love that. Ooh.
Thank you. As the scene ends, Celaena, quote, wished she'd been close enough to hear what they'd said, that being Archer and the mystery guy, to understand what this was all about. Before, she would have trailed the young stranger to seek out the answers. But that was before. Now she didn't particularly care. It was hard to care, she realized, as she started the trek back to the castle. Incredibly hard to care when you didn't have anyone left to care about. Again, a reminder of where Celaena is mentally, because she's going to shift by the end of this episode. That she goes through a lot of things. It's kind of a roller coaster when you stop to think about it, but none of it is unearned, in my opinion. Celaena is not a character I read and I'm like, God, I don't understand how she got to this feeling. No, I understand how she got to this feeling.
Yep.
So everything she's going through, this despondency, the lack of purpose to live, it feels very real to me. Recovering from loss, grief, it's not a straight line. And I think SJM conveys that pretty well for Celaena.
I agree. There isn't really a lot to analyze in these chapters. You're going to notice this, probably a short episode. But I do feel like in these last chapters of this book, SJM really flexes some beautiful imagery. And I'm just going to highlight them as I go. Quote, last night, even from the distance at the moonlit grave, she'd seen the still healing cuts on his cheek. She didn't know whether they filled her with satisfaction or guilt. I love that she's thinking back on Chaol's cheek and the scars and the marks that she left on him, but that the fact that it's underneath moonlight, which we keep talking about representing truth, but also very much representing the Fae, especially since she was there to perform the ritual that was popular with the Fae. And, it just kind of emphasized that these marks that she left on him are very animalistic and kind of emphasizes her Faeness.
Mm-hmm. Something she's been trying to hide. And the moonlight reveals truth.
Yep. Although it is funny because I posted a clip from one of our episodes, Amy, where you defend Rowan for punching her in the face.
Yeah.
The amount of overwhelming people were like, it's different for Faye, and they're both warriors. And he did warn her, and
since having re-listened to Air of Fire, I am now more on your side. My defense of Rowan occurred before I reread Air of Fire. If that makes you feel better.
I'd say there were still people who were on my side of being like, hey, it just never sat right with me, And then, but it is shocking how many people were like, they are both warriors, they are both Fae, and
yeah, I'll be interested to see how we feel when because right now I'm not willing to defend Rowan, so we'll see if I switch back when we get into Air of Fire.
My feelings are so easily hurt, like I can't, like being punched in the face, even though it's not me. but it's about, I mean, I love how I'm like, my feelings are hurt. If you punch me in the face, my feelings are going to be hurt. No, I'd be distraught and pressing charges. Also, not a Fey warrior.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all have strengths.
I
Being
like
a Fey
to think
warrior is not mine.
I like to think that if Emma tried to punch me, I'd be like, oh, good job. Just because of like, you're so strong.
Honestly, I think you'd be confused about what was happening and what just happened. And then being like, babe, I almost felt that.
She is strong.
Yeah, no.
It's okay. She doesn't listen to the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of friends that I feel like I wouldn't be threatened by their punch.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It's not just her. There's other people. Okay, so at this point, Celaena goes to visit Dorian because she's just like, I have no one. And I don't have anyone to take care of. And the one person who is still in my life, sort of, I treated like shit. So she goes to hang out with Dorian. She goes to visit Dorian in his room and gets to see his room for the very first time. Quote, she expected grandeur and elegance, but Dorian's tower was, well, cozy was a good way to describe it. A bit shabby, too. There was a faded tapestry, a soot-stained fireplace, a moderate-sized four-poster bed, a desk heaped with papers by the window, and books. Stacks and mountains and towers and columns of books. They covered every surface, every bit of space along the walls. This is not who Celaena knows Dorian as, and not who the reader knows Dorian as. If you were to tell me this playboy guy who's used to hooking up with whatever women he wants, now I'm like, well, he doesn't take them to his room, not like this.
Nope.
You know, we're finding out so much about Dorian, and it's going to give, again, not just her a new perspective, but the reader a new perspective about who he is. It's going to really humanize him, and it makes me realize just how much of a surface level interpretation, not just interpretation, interaction that we had with Dorian up until this point, because we keep being in Celaena's point of view. And even when we are in Dorian's point of view, it's not this vulnerable situation here, like his bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually dawning on me, this is symbolically a very vulnerable moment for Dorian, right? For him to be like, you shunned me, but I'm still going to open up my inner sanctum, my bedroom, a place I don't allow even servants to clean.
Yeah.
I'm going to allow you to come here. That's actually a huge risk on his part.
Oh, yeah. He's taken a chance on her for sure.
Yeah. Now, last week we talked about humor and its symbolism in Celaena's recovery, and we see it again here. Quote, she hadn't realized how much she missed that sound being Dorian's laugh. Not just his laugh, but her own too. Any laugh, really. Even if it felt wrong to laugh these days, she missed it. Humor continues to be a necessary part of the healing journey. It reminds us of how far Celaena is from the woman she was at the start of this book, who had a lot of laughter and fun. And it's also a reminder for me that this is the breaking Elena wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that Elena gets her way.
I do.
I just wish the whole world imploded.
Yeah.
But not really. Like, I just wish that she had consequences, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But she's dead. What the fuck does she get consequences for? All of this is making sense, though, why Celaena is feeling laughter again while we are getting this healing, because she's in Dorian's private space, and that private space is making him normal in many ways, making him a human. Quote, another laugh as he carried the pile of clothes towards a door. It opened just wide enough to reveal a dressing room nearly as big as her own, but she saw no more than that before he chucked the clothes inside and shut the door. Across the room, another door had led to a bathing chamber. I have a habit of telling them to go away. Them being the
servant.
Staff, the servants, yeah. It's very funny, like he's just trying to like shove things. We've all been there, right? When someone's like coming in, you're like, it's not normally this messy. Let me just put things in here. I'm just gonna shove all my clothes into the closet here. Again, that side we haven't seen. We've seen Dorian as this put together prince, this royal that has, absolutely all the charm. But I love that Dorian is throwing the clothes away in his room because while for Celaena, clothes are normally armor, right? She gets to have on different disguises. Dorian, it's just a casual mess. That's because Dorian doesn't really have any armor to have, right? Like he hasn't really figured out his whole little armor boy. So he just chucks aside the armor.
I am going to take a slightly different take on this. I agree that maybe it's not armor, but I definitely think that Dorian's clothing is part of his courtly facade. Even though he doesn't maybe know who he is underneath that, he knows that this is who he has to present to the court.
Yeah.
Which he's being part of. And so it's no wonder that he's not careful with the clothing that is part of his father's court. It's a role he doesn't enjoy playing. And so it's like, ugh, sorry, this isn't part of my true self. Let me just chuck it away for you for a moment.
Yeah, I like that. I like it. Dorian reveals that he doesn't use anyone to get dress or to help him in the morning. Quote, "My mother's greatest annoyance is my refusal to be dressed by lords eager to win my favor. That was unexpected. Dorian was always so well dressed that she assumed he had people doing it for him. Even Celaena has used Philippa to help her get dressed. Not all the time, but she has used Philippa because, again, dress, clothing, hair, makeup, all of it, it's armor for her. And Dorian is showing that it doesn't have to be. Like, you don't need someone to gear you up for armor. You don't need all of that. Like, clothes can be whatever you make it to be.
Yeah. And for Dorian, the fact that he's not willing to let lords help him, I think is very telling because in a way, clothing is a vehicle for people to gain influence, for people to become closer to him. And that's exactly what he doesn't want. He wants nothing to do with people who are ladder climbers and want to be in his favor. If he wanted that, he and Chaol, I don't think, would be friends, right?
Yeah.
Or he'd be having Chaol help him with his clothing.
Yeah.
It's just not who he is. And I think that's very telling for Dorian, that he's like, even though he's spoiled rotten, even though he's led an easy life, he still has some independence.
Yeah.
And I think Celaena respects him for that.
Yep.
Now, when Dorian calls up for their dinner, Celaena observes there really isn't a clean surface on which they can eat that dinner. Quote, "The desk wasn't an option, and the table before the fireplace was a miniature library on its own." As if in answer, Dorian began clearing the table. Like the clothes, there's this lack of propriety or formalness about their eating situation, and that humanizes Dorian. The fact that he's cleaning the surface of the table himself also has that humanizing effect. I think this is ultimately why Celaena is so honest with Dorian when he asks why she's joined him for dinner. This is when she responds, "I have nowhere else to go." Obviously, his body language helps too. He's not facing her, so that, honestly, he's giving her permission to lie if she wants to. He's not seeing her facial reactions. And he's giving her, in my mind, he's giving her space to decide, right? This is a safe space for him. He's going to make it a safe space for her. If I go one step further, because this is me being in my head, if I was in this situation, like, didn't think I was going to be coming here, did you? Otherwise, you would have cleaned this a lot sooner. What I like about that, either Dorian's lazy, or I think he understood that if you come or don't come, that's fine. I'm giving you an opportunity to have space to process what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And to his surprise, Celaena opted in rather than opted out.
If you think a lot about the way that Celaena, I don't know what the point I'm going to make with this, but I think about the various times Celaena's eaten with people. So like with Nehemia, it was very much their thing. They would eat breakfast together. They would have lessons together. And it turned into a time of just conflict because every time that we would get a scene of them eating, it was always an argument, right? It always led to something. And then we have Celaena and Chaol, where we have their romantic dinner, which ended up with them getting together. And that was very much kind of like performative in many ways, right? Like she was trying to make it perfect for him.
Yeah.
And now we have this moment where Dorian is trying to set it up for Celaena. And I think what's interesting about this one is that like all the other times Nehemia would have breakfast at Celaena's room, and then Chaol and Celaena ate where Celaena designated. And now here she is eating, she's having to go somewhere else for food, right? Someone else for that power. If food is power type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a great point.
Thank you. Okay. So I've said, like we said before, there's a lot of growth from Dorian, a lot of character growth. And we had to point out how much of a brat he was in book 1 in order to continue that character growth. Because look at this guy now. Quote, Dorian nodded, looking at her with kindness she couldn't understand. Then you'll always have a place here. This is so different than book 1 or like early book 1 Dorian. Like that guy is not this guy. And before anyone says anything, we are seeing the true him. Like, you know, people might be like, this was him the whole time. Yeah, probably. But I also don't think so entirely. You know, like he had to be stripped down of a lot of emotions and not being able to be picked first and then having to put himself in a vulnerable place to still offer space to her. Like that's growth. That's a lot of growth.
I think so too. I think that for the first time, he is thinking outside himself because he didn't really think outside himself in Throne of Glass, the first novel. Between Celaena pushing him away and Nehemia's death, and then his own discovery of his magic.
Yeah.
He's starting to have empathy for other people in a way he was never forced to before. And so I don't think this was always in Dorian. I think Dorian understood that this was something he has to develop if he wants to have friends.
But his empathy only goes to her because, boy, when it goes to Chaol, it's going to be a
honestly
different fucking thing.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, though, that we are seeing this honest version of him and Celaena seeing this honest version of him because we're in his room.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Stripped down Dorian.
Not clothing.
But
emotional.
Also stripped clothing from his floor because the clothing was removed.
Fair. Even Aelin would pause to catch her breath. We'll be right back. Growing up, my parents were obsessive about the chore charts and the stickers that we got to use to track our chores and what each completed chore was worth in money.
And now with Acorns Early, you can apply that to today's kids with modern technology. It's genius. Acorns Early is a smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
Start with the in-app chores tracker and teach your kids the value of $1.
Then let your kids set up their own savings goals, start building healthy money habits early.
Make them work for that PS5.
Absolutely.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their own customizable debit card, giving them the extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early, spending limits and real-time spending notifications, parents always stay in control.
This is definitely something I would use if I had kids because I love nothing more than teaching hard work for reward.
This is what's going to happen when I have kids. You're going to be teaching my kids with Acorns Early.
That's exactly right.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app.
That's 1 month free when you sign up at acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
I'll give you one guess into what's my Stanley right now.
Probably something with electrolytes, like Liquid IV.
It's not even funny how true that is. Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise, which is perfect because I am both sweating and exercising this summer.
It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick. And guess what? They've got Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration right now. It is so nostalgic. makes me think of summer instantly.
The fact that it has 100% daily value of 4 essential B vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, it's an excellent source of vitamin C, and it makes me just feel like I've really accomplished a lot just by drinking one of these.
Powered by Liquid IV Hydroscience, Liquid IV replaces necessary nutrients lost from everyday dehydration, and it doesn't matter if you live somewhere dry or humid, trust me, you're dehydrated.
Just 1 stick in 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone.
It is always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free, and if you're like me and are sensitive to everything, it is fantastic.
Savor the last bits of summer with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code BOOKTALK at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order and code BOOKTALK, BOOKTALK, at liquidiv.com.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
So now we're in Dorian's perspective, and he realizes like just how alone Celaena is, because he's not even insulted when she was like, I have nowhere else to go. Quote, it wasn't an insult, not the way she said it. And now that she was dozing on his couch, the clock having recently chimed 2, he wondered what was keeping her from going back to her own rooms. This is so painful for me because it reminds me at the start of this book where Celaena was always falling asleep in Chaol's room. She was laying down in Chaol's room. She was just always there. And now, rather than Chaol's couch, she's sleeping here.
It's definitely an intentional parallel. Dorian has taken Chaol's place as Celaena's friend because he understands that there can't be anything else between the two of them. And the parallel doesn't stop there. Celaena is so alone, and we're reminded of that through this visual. Quote, every morning, she walked fleet-foot by herself, then ran alone in the game park. Even the girls who had once lined the garden pathways waiting for Chaol had stopped showing up. This is another part of Celaena's breaking that is captured in the absence of Nehemia and Chaol in her normal routines. This was such an irregular part of her routine that we saw multiple times at the start of this book that its absence is glaring, but it only gets like 2 sentences on the page.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we're sitting here being like, wow, Dorian's grown. He's such a developed character. Sweet summer child. We aren't even done with book 2, and we have so many more books to come. Yeah. And that means that he is not going to be perfect. He's not even like, as soon as we're done developing one side, we're going to get this other side that you're like, ooh, you're really going to need help with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Dorian's tension and frustration and dislike of Chaol is only growing more. And that is character development. That is developing, not great. But we have now, I feel like, in these chapters, getting an outright, he doesn't like his friend type of confirmation or concluding of like building up essentially. Quote, but these new scars might go deeper. At this point, he's talking about Celaena. Quote, but these new scars might go deeper. The pain of losing Nehemia and the different, but perhaps just as agonizing loss of Chaol. An awful part of him was glad she cut out Chaol. He hated himself for it. Yeah, I can almost be like, hear people be like, but he doesn't like that he doesn't like Chaol. it's setting up for the break between the two. You know, like Dorian and Chaol are going to have their own break in the friendship, and that's not going to come out of nowhere. So let us point these out, because when they do break, it's going to be a wow, SJM's been building this up for a long time, arguably ever since book 1.
Yeah. And why is that necessary? It's necessary so that they can both keep secrets from each other, especially in Heir of Fire. So it all has purpose.
All of it. Chapter 40 starts, and Celaena decides that the best person for her to talk to is Baba Yellowlegs. Desperate times. So it is quite useful. And Celaena decides she's going to be like really sneaky about it, and she's going to dress up in a brown tunic and put her hair down. No one will ever know who she is. Like, I mean, she even says, quote, but she couldn't help but savor the feeling of anonymity. Did I say that right?
No.
Anonymity.
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 Yeah, there you go.
That feeling of blending in with the carnival workers, these people who had the dust of 100 kingdoms on their clothes, to have that sort of freedom to see the world bit by bit, to travel each and every road. Her chest tightened. She really wants to leave. Like, she wants to not be a part of anything. And being able to dress like these people is a fantasy for her. It's cosplay. And not only because she can't travel, and also like this cosplay for her is like someone who could travel, but also like they don't have to live with consequences. So again, clothing is armor for her. It's also disguise. However, now we can see it as a fantasy.
It is also representative of the complacency that Celaena has desired for a long time, right? That's what the anonymity is. It's the not doing anything about her destiny that Nehemia and Alina have robbed from Celaena. I have to ask whether Celaena would feel this way if her parents had lived, they had never died, she had still grown up a princess. Would she still have longed for anonymity, or is this purely a product of what has happened to her?
I think you're just showing off saying that you can say that word.
I was
said it twice already. Someone's fancy over there.
It's a rhetorical question.
Oh, shh.
No, if you want to answer it, I was trying to
answer. I'm opening my mouth to answer. That was a rhetorical question. You can shut the fuck up.
I was giving you an opportunity to pass it if you didn't want to answer it.
No, I was happy. I was just caught on the fact that you can say anonymity. I was so close. No, I mean, I think there's always going to be angst, right? Like if she was a princess, she would want to be like, long to not be a princess. If she was one of these carnival goers, they would long to be a princess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Grass is always greener. I will say anywhere where she is in fact greener right now. So it's not, normally I would be like, the grass is always greener. We all look in comparison as the thief of joy. Literally, she could be anyone else and it would be a better life than her.
Yeah. Yep.
Celaena and Baba. I was like, do I call her Yellowlegs or just Baba? So Celaena and Baba are talking, and Baba Yellowlegs invites her inside the wagon. And this is after Baba tells her, like, yo, I know Dorian's secrets. And so Celaena's like, interesting. So, like, how much money? Quote, Celaena studied the black wagon, swiftly braiding her hair back. One door, no back exit, no signs of trick panels, no way out, and plenty of warning in case someone came in. She checked her weapons, 2 long daggers, a knife in her boot, the 3 of Philippa's deadly hairpins, more than enough. She's like not even trying. Like who starts like braiding her hair for battle?
I see her in my mind, just like feeling for my weapons. Okay,
yeah,
I'm ready.
Like her hair is down. And so she's like saying, so where's her hair? So she's like having to readjust these deadly hairpins in her hair while she can braid it back. And then she's like, interesting, while patting herself down, be like, so tell me more about this secret. Oh, don't mind me. I just like touching my thighs and knowing where things are on my body.
Wanted to
But
make sure I had my keys to the castle.
Right? Like, gotta get back inside. It's so embarrassing every time I have to have someone bring me in. But it can also really tell you where she's going with this conversation. Like, she's going in there knowing only one of them is coming out.
Yep, absolutely. I don't know if you know this, Baba is the word for dad in Mandarin. So you can't just say Baba to me. Otherwise, I'm like,
I
please say
think it's
Baba Yellowlegs.
also. Oh, no, I was thinking babushka. Okay, Yellowlegs. I'll add it. I was going to say, doesn't it mean grandma somewhere?
I don't think so. I think it's Arabic, but I think Arabic also calls, like a young child calls their father Baba. So before we move on from Celaena's hair, I do want to say that Celaena coming with her hair down is very intentional, right? You see this in cinema as well. Having the hair down has this feeling of youth, innocence, naivety. And so the fact that Celaena's like, well, shit, now I got to braid my hair instead of just tying it back. Okay, the innocence didn't work out for her, but also B, she doesn't really care. Like, she's not checking to see if Yellowlegs notices. She's just like, I gotta do this. This is important.
She's like, we both know we're going in here to fight.
Yeah. Now, the descriptions in the narrative are warning us that Baba Yellowlegs is bad. And I say that because I definitely thought she was meant to be comedic relief the first time I read Crown of Midnight.
I still think she's comedic relief.
Also that.
Funny, evil comedic, but
I didn't know that she was going to try and kill Celaena.
Oh. I will say, that is one that I always keep forgetting, that Baba Yellowlegs did try to kill her. That is always one where I'm like, really? I thought they walked away as friends.
SJM does give us clues otherwise. Quote, the reek from the woman's mouth was like carrion and stale smoke. What else tends to reek? Basically everything that is evil, like Cain, the Ritterak, everything.
Bodies.
Outside people.
Yeah.
What else happens? Quote, a chill wind blew from within the caravan, sliding along Celaena's neck. Now, what else tends to have a chill wind? That is Dorian's magic. That chill wind is giving a heads up that magic is involved, at least within the caravan. And Elena, it's very true. If nothing else, it's just ominous.
Mm-hmm.
Celaena senses this. But like she has time and time again, she diminishes the signs of evil so she doesn't psych herself out. Quote, tacky, cheap carnival tricks, Celaena told herself again and again, her breath clouding in the chill air inside the wagon. None of it was real. If Celaena's telling herself it's not real, you best believe that it is real. Just saying.
She's like, it's not real as she's gripping her knife.
Ah!
More beautiful imagery comes back into play here. This is when Celaena is walking through the wagon, and there's just a bunch of mirrors throughout this wagon. Quote, they were every shape, every size, some leaning against the walls, some propped against each other like old friends, some little more than shards clinging to their frame, and everywhere else, wherever there was a bit of space, were papers and scrolls, jars of herbs, of liquids, brooms, junk. A couple of things here. I'm going to get into more about the mirrors later. We're going to put a pin on the mirror side. I do like that some of the mirrors are described as old friends, some of them as shards clinging onto themselves. Like, you can really see that as like Celaena's own history and past. It makes it very humanizing. But I also love the contradiction that we went from Dorian's cozy, messy room to Baba Yellowlegs' messy wagon. And I feel like it's almost seen like the two sides of Celaena, right? Where on one side, we get the super warm, cozy side with Dorian. And on this other side, it's like, well, all right, time to kill. And that's Celaena. And coming back to the mirrors, SGM really goes heavy on the symbolism here, especially with the mirrors. Quote, a winding path had been made between the mirrors, leading into the dark, a path that Yellowlegs was now treading. Mirrors in literature can mean a lot of different things. Sometimes it means honesty, but I feel like more often than not, mirrors can be very sinister, especially if you're like 8 years old playing Bloody Mary. Terrifying. Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
I hate it. But here, I think that it's both sinister, but I think it's going to be kind of both in the sequence of events that happen here. That Celaena is going to both be forced to look at herself, and it's a sign of evil.
In some ways, I feel like you could say that Baba Yellowlegs is the final straw that shatters what is normal versus the future that Celaena is going to embark on.
Mhm.
And as I was reading your notes, Jack, I had this thought where I was like, oh, especially with that winding path through the mirrors, maybe this is always where she or Dorian were supposed to end up.
Mhm.
This is the path Elena always wanted one of them to go on.
Mhm.
And it was ultimately Celaena who entered the wagon to take the path, whereas Dorian is the one who turned away.
I like that.
Thanks.
I like that a lot. We get a bit more of clarity from Celaena, and it's more honesty than we might normally see from her, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Celaena is thinking about Dorian and how he did turn away. Quote, "At least he'd survived, if only because Yellowlegs wanted to use whatever information she gleaned from him. Foolish, foolish man." Was she any different, though? We really, in the first book, got a lot this bravado Celaena, right? Like, she's so great. She's so clever. We talked about why that bravado was there. And we really haven't had too many brutally honest moments like this, I'd say, where she's just like, I don't know if I'm any better here. But I think that's because she's amongst these mirrors. She's having to face herself literally with these mirrors, and she's having to see that truth. I just love that Celaena is comparing herself to him. I love that there's more understanding because they really are people who could have walked the same path. But, she was the one who was chosen to come here.
Yeah. And, on one hand, she may think that Dorian is foolish because he doesn't know how to protect himself, right? He did this reckless thing. Thank God he's still alive. And she's like, I'm also doing something reckless. I'm also probably answering Destiny's call.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. Well, shit.
I'm
But here I am.
probably answering Destiny's call. It might be fraud. It might not be Destiny.
Could be a spam call.
It could be a spam call. Yeah. Be like, hi, Destiny is calling. You can get your Destiny if you go to Walmart right now and get 5 $30 gift cards and mail them to me. Baba Yellowlegs starts to tell Celaena the lore about the Wyrdmarks and the Wyrdgates, and this lore is where all of it will start to shape the Maasverse. It all goes down here. Quote, "There are worlds that exist beyond your knowledge, worlds that lie on top of each other and don't know it. Right now, you could be standing on the bottom of someone else's ocean. The word keeps these realms apart." We're going to get more into this in the broomsticks section, so don't think we forgot.
Now, all of this takes place around Baba Yellowlegs' oven, the oven built of Kraken stones from their demolished city, just FYI. And on one hand, we get a kind of visual of a grandmother telling a fairy tale to their grandchild. And I think what makes this eerie is that what is supposed to be a wholesome picture is warped because Baba Yellowlegs is evil, but also because of the knowledge that Celaena is gaining.
Does it give you Hansel and Gretel vibes? Like, it's
Very much so.
grim fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
You follow the evil witch, and the witch is going to try to burn you and eat you alive.
100. I definitely think that was intentional.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm going to read a few quotes about how things change as Celaena's learning more about the worlds, about the Wyrdkeys, etc. Now, remember, when she first enters the wagon, she could see her breath in front of her, aka it was cold. Quote, "Even though the air in the wagon was chill, the burning oven somehow made it instantly warm enough for Celaena's layers of clothing to be uncomfortable." Now, later, as the truth about the Wyrdkeys and the Valg is being revealed to Celaena, quote, Celaena stared at the fire, at the mirrors, at the darkness of the wagon around her. The heat was smothering now. I think the use of the fire is symbolic, along with the mirrors, along with the darkness. Celaena is finally stumbling upon the path that destiny carved for Aelin.
Mm-hmm.
Because since the first book, Celaena has been in winter, has been associated with cold and snow and ice. And it is now she's literally being pulled by destiny, by Baba Yellowlegs, into this lore that Celaena is heating up and, by the end of this book, be associated with fire.
Yeah.
And even though she can't access that fire yet, that fire within her will be unescapable. And I think it's purely because of the knowledge she has.
So to keep kind of harping in on that moment with that quote where Celaena, quote, scanned the dark, the mirrors, but she only saw versions of herself looking back. She heard nothing but the crackling of fire in the oven and her own uneven breathing. It really is beautiful imagery because we're coming back to the mirrors and she's seeing different versions of herself. And you can say that there's a lot of different versions of her as the assassin, the queen, the woman who's trying to be free with her brown tunic. And none of it is happening, but the fire in the background, like Amy was talking about, is like a reminder of her queenly destiny. So it doesn't matter how many mirror versions there are, there's only one.
I think that's such an interesting point because Baba Yellowlegs is talking about like worlds upon worlds, like layers.
Mm-hmm.
Who's not to say that there aren't like alternate universes or timelines where Aelin is a woman who is free.
Yeah.
Or stays an assassin, never goes to Endovir, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what, to your point, SJM's kind of portraying. Like there were so many different paths.
Mm-hmm.
And Celaena is about to be forced to choose the path.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm like, I think one of the way that I look at it isn't necessarily that she's paths, like that these are paths, but like she is all of these things, right? Like she is an assassin. She is a queen. She is something like these are things that she already is. And like we as people are more than just one thing and we can choose a path, but no matter what path you choose, it's not without you still being all of those things. So I think part of it is also just kind of like a reality of like all those points just staring back at you, right? All your versions of identities.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying, where it's like, for Celaena especially, she can't separate her assassin self from the queen self.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, they are one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so she can't run away from one side of herself.
The reason why Celaena herself is so disjointed and is in her own crises is that she separated her fae self from her human self for so long. You have that there, and that in many ways, without any spoilers, is her own journey too throughout the rest of the books. Is the separation of fae and human. And that's like the only one where she can't be both.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Celaena knows one of them is not going to make it out alive. And quite frankly, Celaena could give up here if she really wanted to. She could be like, you know what, Destiny? Fuck you. I'm just going to let Baba Yellowlegs kill me. And I do think on some level it must be tempting. It's only when Baba Yellowlegs mentions Dorian, that guy who let her come into her bedroom and eat dinner and sleep on his couch and didn't judge her for being sad, that's when she gets fired up. Quote. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say that I too get fired up for people who feed me.
Food is power.
Yeah.
Quote.
Wait a minute. You feed me. Hold up. You've been training me for your loyalty.
Quote, Yellowlegs' mention of Dorian had stopped her cold. Now she had no choice about what she had to do, what she would do to protect Dorian. It was what she realized last night. She did have someone left, one friend, and there was nothing she wouldn't do to keep him safe. Now, this moment gave me goosebumps while I was taking notes, which I don't think happens often. Remember, at the start of Crown of Midnight, Celaena stopped hanging out with and smooching Dorian between Throne of Glass and Heir of Fire because he was associated with the King of Adarlan, and she doesn't feel like she can be with him if he's associated with the king.
Mm-hmm.
Now, has she misplaced or projected her feelings for Nehemia and Chaol onto Dorian?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe, yes.
Absolutely.
Is she choosing to protect Dorian because she couldn't protect Nehemia?
100%.
Absolutely. But what I like about it is that it doesn't matter anymore if Dorian is related to the King of Adarlan.
Yeah.
Because she feels that Dorian deserves her protection.
Mm-hmm.
And from a writing perspective, it just reminds me why timing of scenes are so important. That dinner scene couldn't have happened earlier or later in the book because Celaena's motivation in this moment would not be believable, ultimately.
Nehemia dying strips Dorian's identity away and his title away. Not initially. I mean, yes and no. Hold on. I'm having a lot of interesting flashing thoughts. Like, Chaol, as much as Dorian takes on Nehemia's identity of like the friend that Celaena needs to protect, Chaol takes on the identity of Dorian of being associated with Adarlan.
Mm-hmm.
So,
fair.
Because it's like the same sentiment hasn't changed. Like, you will never be my friend. She could easily feel that with Dorian. Like, because it comes with the, like, you work for my enemy.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of misplaced feelings and misplaced projections. None of it's, like, wrong necessarily. Like, I'm happy that she's back to being friends with Dorian, but let's call it what it is. She's like, hey, one friend died. Let's hyperfixate on another one that she hasn't really been there for. And it just so happens to conveniently happen where she's not mad about this friend for being related to the king, but she will be super mad about her ex working for the king. So,
Well, it's just like how she couldn't associate with Dorian because he was the son of the king, but she was okay sleeping with the captain of the guard of the king.
Exactly.
She's 18.
She's 18. It works in the sense of her brain, not in life logic.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. Stick around for part 2, which airs on Thursday.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. We would also love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. You can submit your comments to our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com for a chance to have your feedback discussed during a future mini episode or a Patreon exclusive episode.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk. Bye. Growing up, my parents were obsessive about the chore charts and the stickers that we got to use to track our chores and what each completed chore was worth in money.
And now with Acorns Early, you can apply that to today's kids with modern technology. It's genius. Acorns Early is a smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
Start with the in-app chores tracker and teach your kids the value of $1.
Then let your kids set up their own savings goals, start building healthy money habits early.
Make them work for that PS5.
Absolutely.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their own customizable debit card, giving them the extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early, spending limits and real-time spending notifications, parents always stay in control.
This is definitely something I would use if I had kids because I love nothing more than teaching hard work for reward.
This is what's going to happen when I have kids. You're going to be teaching my kids with Acorns Early.
That's exactly right.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app.
That's 1 month free when you sign up at acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
I'll give you one guess into what's my Stanley right now.
Probably something with electrolytes, like Liquid IV.
It's not even funny how true that is. Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise, which is perfect because I am both sweating and exercising this summer.
It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick. And guess what? They've got Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration right now. It is so nostalgic. Makes me think of summer instantly.
The fact that it has 100% daily value of 4 essential B vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, it's an excellent source of vitamin C, and it makes me just feel like I've really accomplished a lot just by drinking one of these.
Powered by Liquid IV Hydroscience, Liquid IV replaces necessary nutrients lost from everyday dehydration, and it doesn't matter if you live somewhere dry or humid, trust me, you're dehydrated.
Just 1 stick in 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone.
It is always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. And if you're like me and are sensitive to everything, it is fantastic.
Savor the last bits of summer with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code BOOKTALK at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order and code BOOKTALK, BOOKTALK, at liquidiv.com.